Tēnā tātou katoa. Nā mai, haere mai ki tēnei hui o te Kaunihera Wāhine o Aotearoa. Welcome to the launch of the Gender Attitude Survey 2025 results on behalf of the National Council of Women in New Zealand. Thank you to all of you here in the room, and thank you to those on the Zoom for making the time to come to the launch today. So I would like to acknowledge that we have got diplomatic corps here today. Thank you for coming. We have Carmel and Jenny from the Labour Party here. Thank you for coming. Our board, lovely to actually have you in the room, and our guest speakers, who I will introduce in a minute. So our program today is going to introduce you to the survey and this year's results, put the results in context. But first, I'm going to start with a karakia to settle us into this event. Kia hora te marino, kia whakapapa pounamu te moana, hei huarahi ma tātou I te rangi nei. Aroha atu, araha mai, tātou ia tātou katoa. May peace be widespread. May the sea be like greenstone, a pathway for us all today. Let us show respect for one another. And so housekeeping, because everybody needs this. In the event of a fire alarm, you make your way out of the auditorium the way you came in, up the back. You turn right, exit the building by the glass doors onto Aiken Street. You can go this way too, but highly recommend going that way because it's easy to get lost that way. When you're outside, follow the crowd. I think that's the easiest thing to remember. In the event of an earthquake, the brace position, the stop, drop, cover and hold, and wait for the shaking to stop, and then wait for instructions from the library staff. We have Eva who's going to wave at us from up the back somewhere. Oh no, Eva and Mark are waving from the box at the back. So they are here to guide us if that should happen, if an evacuation is actually necessary. The toilets are located out in the foyer as you exit the auditorium. And we will have some kai after the event. Sorry for the people on the Zoom, but I would let you know that the kai has already been blessed, so you can partake even if you have to leave early. So we do hope you stay with us for the whole time. So today we are privileged to have Professor Gail Pacheco, the Equal Employment Opportunities Commissioner, which we normally shorten to EEO Commissioner, from Te Tika Tangata Human Rights Commission, to officially launch the results. Emanual Kalafatelis, Managing Director of Rangahau Aotearoa Research New Zealand, will follow with an overview of the 2025 results, and I believe that his colleague Mila will be co-presenting with him, and Anita, who was also on the team, is here giving moral support. And then we will have Dylan Van Heerden, President of the Victoria University's Thursdays in Black organisation. And following from that, we will hear a brief word from Dellwyn Stuart, the Chief Executive of YWCA, as sponsor of this launch event. So that's how we will do that. One thing that I do also need to, why didn't I have it on my actual copy here, acknowledge is Kelly Coombs is here from the Ministry for Women, and the Ministry for Women have funded this survey. So we're very grateful for that support and are appreciative of your presence here today. So I'd now like to introduce Gail to come up and launch today's this year's survey. She's a leading economist, previously the director of the New Zealand Policy Institute at AUT, and previously a commissioner at the New Zealand Productivity Commission. She's an extensive track record of social policy focused research, often leading large-scale collaborations between academia, community organisations, and the public sector, one of which National Council of Women is involved in at the moment. Gail has been the recipient of numerous awards, and most recently in 2025, she was awarded life membership of the New Zealand Association of Economists, an honour reserved for individuals who have made significant contributions to both the association and the economics profession in New Zealand. Congratulations for that, Gail, and welcome to the stage.
I come up, I always have to, no matter which situation I'm in, I'm always having to bring the mic down. Thank you so much for the introduction, Suzanne. Tēnā koutou katoa. It's a real privilege to be here today for the launch of the 2025 Gender Attitudes Survey. And I want to begin with acknowledging the vital role that the National Council of Women play on promoting women's rights and equality in Aotearoa, New Zealand. The Gender Attitudes Survey, which the Council has run biennially since 2017, is one of the key ways that we understand where New Zealand stands on attitudes towards equality. It helps us track changes over time, it shines a light on persistent challenges, and it gives us spaces where we can celebrate the areas that we've made progress. Today's launch is not just about the data, and as an economist, I love the data. As much as I enjoy the data, but it's also about the conversations that it sparks, the actions that it inspires towards a more gender equal future. I'd like to also acknowledge the Ministry for Women for funding this important evidence base, which strengthens our efforts, and YWCA Auckland for sponsoring this launch. Before I share some reflections on the results and its implications for gender equality and human rights, I want to do a few things. I want to briefly introduce Te Kāhui Tika Tangata, the Human Rights Commission, and outline where our role is in the gender equality and human rights landscape. And then I'll go on to share some reflections from the results from my perspective. So the Commission is New Zealand's national human rights institution, which is recognized by the United Nations. Our statutory mandate is to promote and to protect human rights, including the human rights dimensions of Te Tiriti o Waitangi. And we do this in a number of ways. Each year, thousands of people contact us for advice or support. In the last year, it was about 8,000 when they experience discrimination in a number of areas, whether it is in the workplace, whether it's housing or access to services. And many of these cases we resolve through offering free mediation services, which are quicker and much more flexible rather than going through to the stage of a tribunal process. At the same time, we focus on wider systemic issues, which are really important. And our current priority areas are advocating for government action on all recommendations of the Royal Commission of Inquiry into Abuse of Care, facilitating a national human rights action plan, and advocating for a human rights-based pay equity system. This work is backed by research, by public education, expert advice on legislation and policy, and our role is to hold both government and businesses to account. For example, last year we submitted a shadow report and an in-person report on the government's compliance with the United Nations Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. So that's some of the areas we operate in. As the EEO Commissioner, much easier to say than Equal Employment Opportunities Commissioner, I think I've got the longest title of the 4 commissioners. My core role in the currently, or my core focus, I should say, is advocating for that human rights-based pay equity system. This is necessary to correct historical undervaluation of female-dominated occupations. And alongside this, I'm also engaging publicly on the importance of closing pay gaps, championing the benefits of workplace diversity for all communities, and advocating for effective modern slavery legislation in New Zealand. So turning to the survey, the 2025 Gender Attitude Survey. Gender equality, we know, is a fundamental human right. Right? It's protected by a number of international instruments, such as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So I'm really heartened to see that a strong majority of New Zealanders recognize it in the same way, as a fundamental right. 79% in the survey recognized it as a fundamental right, not just an aspirational social goal. We also see in the survey widespread support for fairness in everyday life, where most New Zealanders believe that household chores, jobs, and school subjects are appropriate for all genders. And strong majorities in the survey are comfortable with sexual and gender diverse people in their workplaces. The findings show that the values of equality and respect are deeply embedded in our society, and that over time, New Zealanders are recognizing both the progress made and the importance of ensuring equal rights for everyone. At the same time, the survey is a reminder that our work is far from over. 6 in 10 New Zealanders still see sexism as a significant issue in our country. And almost 2 in 5 believe that women, especially women of color, LGBTQ+ women and women with disabilities, continue to be disadvantaged by inequality. Online harassment remains a serious problem, with nearly 3/4 of respondents recognizing its real-world impact on women's safety and well-being. And while progress is evident, there's a sizable minority, particularly younger men, who believe that gender equality has gone too far. 33% of young male respondents compared to 15% of young female respondents. So to give you a global perspective on this, I also wanted to share some results from the Reykjavik Index for Leadership 2025, which gives you that international perspective on some of the same aspects that are covered in this survey. If you don't know much about the index, it's one that measures how much confidence people have in women and men as leaders across a wide range of sectors. So if you get a perfect score of 100, that means women and men are seen as equally suitable for leadership. Okay, so that's the goal, to reach a score of 100. And globally, the picture is sobering. In the G7 countries, the average score has fallen to just 68. Right? This is the lowest since the index began, showing there is that persistent bias against women leaders. Here in New Zealand, the good news is this is the first time we were included in the index, and New Zealand entered strongly. We were ranked second equal, along with the Netherlands, on a score of 80. And that's something we should be really proud of, as it shows many New Zealanders see women and men as equally capable leaders. But of course, we need to be cautious. We're not immune to global trends. Younger men in that survey in particular were found to be more likely to show prejudice towards women in leadership, which echoes what is found here in the Gender Attitudes survey. And the New Zealand Index also found greater discomfort with leaders that were Māori, Pacifica, or transgender. Therefore, both the international data and the New Zealand evidence show wide support and progress, but at the same time, there's areas where attitudes towards equality are uneven. And a reminder that gains can slip if we don't protect them. Okay, we need to actively defend them to make sure those gains are advanced. So finally, looking to the future, there's no doubt that we face some headwinds in this space. Some groups are actively challenging gender equality under the banner of traditional values. And initiatives that advance equal opportunities are misrepresented as threats to meritocracy. Yet even in this context, I'm remaining very optimistic. Our society has achieved many meaningful legal, social, cultural protections that support gender equality. The gender pay gap continues to narrow. It's now at around 5%. The rights of trans and intersex people are increasingly recognized and strengthened, and these gains remind us that progress is possible and that setbacks are not inevitable. So the challenge ahead: to defend, to build on these gains with courage and collaboration, and evidence like this survey equips us to do just that. Right? It informs our policy, it guides our business practices, and it shapes the conversations we can have in our communities. So let's use this knowledge to ensure that gender equality in Aotearoa is not just an ideal, but a lived reality for all of us. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carrie. I am a board member at the National Council of Women, and I'm here to introduce, as soon as Suzanne can show me where she hid the notes. There we go. Take that away. Thank you. Lovely. Lovely. I'm here to introduce Emanual Kalafatelis. Where is he going? There he is. Okay. Oh, great start. So Emanual is here from Research New Zealand. As Suzanne said, he's here with his colleagues Mila, Anita, and Sarah. Thank you. Mila and Emanual will be presenting the results together. Emanual has been involved in the social and marketing research industry in Aotearoa for about 40 years, over 40 years, I'm told, mostly managing a wholly independent research company. He's based in Wellington and mainly servicing clients in the public sector. In addition to the Gender Attitude Survey, Emanual has led and been involved in several landmark research projects, including projects aimed at measuring New Zealanders' attitudes to subject topics, such as changing the New Zealand flag, New Zealand becoming a republic, the state of public assets, genetic modification, and the impact of COVID-19. Emanual is a fellow and current member of the Research Association of New Zealand, and he's a strong ally of the work that we do in this space. So we welcome you, Emanual and Mila. Please come and tell us what we need to know.
Thank you, Carrie. This is Mila, obviously, and we've got Anita somewhere. I can't see her. She's there. I just want to spend a minute explaining the importance of the team that was working on this particular project this year. This project was Mila's. And when I say that, I don't want to belittle the work that Anita did, because actually Anita saw this survey through what we call the field. So she was responsible for it right up to the point where the interviewing was completed. And then she handed it over to Mila, who did the analysis and reporting with me. But back to Anita, she was also responsible for making sure that we have a e-tool, which basically is an asset that all of you can use to actually mine the information that is in the survey. So she was actually responsible for making sure that that e-tool was updated and ready to go. So this is the team, and as Suzanne and Carrie said, Mila and I are going to share this presentation. Just to begin, though, I just want to say a few thank yous. I want to say a big thank you to you all, because apparently we're competing with the opening of WOW tonight. So, you know, that's a great thing. I don't know if we can be as entertaining as WOW might be, but we certainly will be, hopefully, more exciting. Well, when I say exciting, I don't actually, that's the wrong word. Look, to be honest, some of these results are going to be disappointing to some of you. They're going to be confronting and a bit raw, but they are what they are. And, you know, we're putting a line in the sand. We've done that every time this survey has been done over the last 10 years. We're just putting a line in the sand, and we know what we need to do as a result of that. I like to begin at the end. So Mila's going to click it. Is it the one at the top? No. Here we go.
There we go.
The one at the top. Okay. So I like to begin, as I said, at the end, just so that you know what's coming. And as you probably realised by now, what we've got is a situation where we've got a lot of New Zealanders who are supportive of the concept of gender equality, but unfortunately, we've stalled. In the early years, we were making some progress, but over the last couple of iterations of the survey, the results suggest that we have stalled. Now, you might be disappointed to hear that, but the reality is that we're not selling soap or bread or whatever. Here, we're actually selling something that's actually quite fundamental. And so it's going to take time. I went back to some earlier work that was done in 2015 by the World Economic Forum. And in a report, they said that achieving gender equality was going to take 200 years. So hopefully we're not going to take 200 years in New Zealand to achieve gender equality. But here we are 10 years on, and we have made some progress, and hopefully in another 10 years, we will be adding to that progress that we've made. The results suggest that that's certainly a possibility, but there are a few things holding us back, and you'll appreciate what I mean by that when we go through this presentation. Surveys are what they are. They are quite structured beasts. Questions are closed. There's limited opportunity to delve into the results in depth. But in this particular survey, we did give people one opportunity to provide some open-ended comment. And what we've done here is in this slide, well, I beg your pardon, not this slide. In this slide, we have shown you some of the verbatim response that our more positive respondents said when we gave them an opportunity to talk on the subject. And I just want to you're probably quickly reading some of the verbatim comments there, but I just want to pick out in particular a couple. The first being the one in the middle. Incidentally, the bolding is our bolding, not the respondents' bolding. But the one in the middle there says, gender equality to me means that everyone has equal opportunities and rights to pursue their goals and dreams regardless of gender. It means that men and women should have the same treatment and opportunities in all areas such as education, employment, health, political participation, etc. And that was given to us by a mid-aged male. You've probably read the others, but those comments, those sorts of comments are in stark contrast to the comments on this slide. And I just want to pick out a few while you're quickly scanning the verbatim. The one in the middle on the left there, gender equality means nothing to me. Genders are not equal. Men and women are different, thankfully. And that was from a male aged 55 to 64. And the one to the right of it, I was brought up, good English, I was brought up in a world where the male is dominant, not sure equality is a good thing. And that actually was a female, 65 to 74. So, there are some pretty ingrained views at the present point in time, and you'll see what we mean as we go through this presentation. Now, we don't want to bore the pants off you tonight. So this is a relatively superficial presentation. We're going to be focusing in on the results for the total sample, just over 1,200 people. And I just want you to also note that as we go through this, we will be referring to some of the results, particularly with respect to males and females, and also especially between the results for younger men, and by that I mean 18 to 34-year-old men, males, and their equivalent females. So there are 4 fundamental questions in the survey, and the first one is, thank you, Mila, I was almost going to make a faux pas there, is this one here, where basically we're getting people, our respondents, to agree or disagree that gender equality is a fundamental right. And they do that over a response scale, which has 5 points in it. What we've done here is chunked up the percentage who agree, compared it with the percentage who don't agree. And then there's obviously the midpoint, the neutrals there, and some people just simply don't know, as you can see. So the majority are saying, agreeing with that, it's a fundamental right, 79%, as opposed to 8% who actually gave us a categorical no to that. And as I said before, some people didn't know, 4%. The other thing that I want you to note about this particular slide and many of the other slides is that we're providing a time series here. So you see the results here for all 5 surveys that have been completed over the last 10 years. And one of the things that you will have noticed already is that that level of agreement hasn't really changed over the last 10 years or so. Okay, and you'll see that pattern repeated throughout this particular survey. Incidentally, younger men, what level of agreement do they have with this statement? 67% agreed with this statement, as opposed to the 79 for the total samples. So again, you'll see that pattern repeated as we go through this presentation. The next key statement is this one here. Some think we've already achieved gender equality. And you can see here that just under half, 46%, believe that is in fact the case. We've achieved gender equality. Opposite to that, we've got 26 disagreeing, quite a few people sitting in the middle there at 19. And again, you know, there's been some fluctuation over the years in terms of the results here, particularly in relation to the difference between the result for 2025 and 2017, the first time we did this survey. So you can see there quite a big shift in terms of the results there, but more latterly, there hasn't been much movement. So the next statement. This is an interesting one, isn't it? Some think we've gone too far already. 21%, 1 in every 5 respondents said that that was the case. That was the case. But thankfully, more than half, 57%, said that wasn't the case. And then our last statement, well, and it's sort of piggybacking, if you like, on the back of that previous statement, quite a few people think, and rightly so, that sexism is still a significant issue. 60%, but again, opposing that, if you like, is 16% who disagree with that particular statement. Now, this statement and the one previously has only been asked in the last 2 iterations of the survey, which is obviously why we've only got 2 sets of results there. So I'm going to take a little bit of a rest now because my voice is giving up a little bit. So I'm going to hand over to Mila.
Thank you, Emanuel. Right, so we've now seen that views have been quite divided. So if that is the case, then who do we actually think is currently disadvantaged by gender inequality? Well, this time series table shows the results for 2025 in the shaded column on the right. And overall, 39% of respondents said that women in general are disadvantaged by gender inequality. And this is 4 times more than anyone saying men in general. It's also worth noting that 1 in every 5 said that no groups are disadvantaged by gender inequality, and a further 29% saying they don't know. When we look at the difference between males and females, younger females were the most likely to say that women in general are disadvantaged by gender inequality at 61% compared to 35% of younger males. And this isn't just theoretical, as 62% of respondents agree that women are exposed to more online harassment than men. And younger females, again, were more likely to feel this way, with 74% agreeing to this. And 71% overall also say that online harassment has an effect on how women are treated in real life. So if this is the case, how well do New Zealanders think we are doing in achieving gender equality? In the home, just under half believe that we are doing well in achieving gender equality in the home. And this hasn't really shifted across the years. 54% of males say that we're doing well, and this compares to 44% of females saying that we're doing well. Younger females were the most likely to state that we're doing poorly at 33%, and this compares to 17% of younger male respondents who say we're doing poorly. In the workplace and in senior management, male respondents across all age groups were more likely than female respondents to say that we're doing well in the workplace and in senior management, with 57% saying we're doing well in the workplace compared to 32% of female respondents. 47% of male respondents say we're doing well in senior management, and this compares to 27% of female respondents. Younger females were more likely to state that we're doing poorly in both senior management and the workplace at 44% and 41% respectively. Most think we have achieved gender equality in the education system at 52%, and this has remained unchanged as well across the years. Males across all age groups were again more likely to state that this was the case at 61%, compared with 43% of female respondents saying we're doing well. The proportion who say we're doing well in achieving gender equality in the healthcare system has actually decreased in 2025. Males were again more positive, and particularly older males, with 66% of them saying we're doing well in achieving gender equality in the health system. Progress in achieving gender equality in the mass media increased from 2017 to 2021, but has decreased since then. Older males were again more likely to say that we're doing well in the mass media at 61%. Younger females, on the other hand, were more likely to state that we're doing poorly at 38%. Progress towards achieving gender equality in advertising has also stalled over the years. Males, again, were more likely than females to state that we're doing well at 49% compared to 36% of female respondents. And this is the case for male respondents across all age groups. Parliament is one of the areas where perceptions of progress has dropped the most in 2025. In 2021, 62% thought that we were doing well in achieving gender equality, and this has now fallen to 45% overall. Males were more likely than females to say that we're doing well at 55% compared to 37% of female respondents. Almost half of younger females say that we're doing poorly in this area compared to 27% of younger male respondents. Overall, male respondents tend to think that we're further along in achieving gender equality, and particularly younger males, while females are less convinced. Hand it back over.
Thank you, Mila. Thank you. Yeah, that last slide was pretty good, wasn't it, Minister? It's the Jacinda effect back. Anyway, oh, where are we? Mila? Oh, good. Okay, so Mila's just taken you through a section of the presentation which gives you an idea of where we think, as New Zealanders, we think gender equality is at the moment. But we also asked them, respondents, what a gender equal New Zealand would look like. And so I just want to race through this section so you get an idea. Okay. So here we go. As you can see from the title there, most agree that women would have improved job career opportunities, including senior management roles. The level of agreement is shown there in the purple colour. So quite good results. 74% this year thought women would have improved job and career opportunities. 67% felt that more women would be in senior management roles. However, you can see that that hasn't really changed over the last 10 years or so. I mean, there's been a bit of wobble there, but basically the results are the same as they were in 2017. And you'll see this through all of these slides. What's really important is focusing on shifting those people who are sitting on the fence, and obviously those people who disagree. This is an interesting one, given some of the narrative around this particular topic. So almost 80%, 78% agree that in a gender equal New Zealand, that both men and women would have equal pay. 78%, almost 80. But again, you can see that that result hasn't really changed over the last 10 years or so. And in the healthcare system, over the last 2 iterations of the survey, we had a big spike in agreement. It's currently at 72%, in quite stark contrast to the earlier years. Now, incidentally, as we're going through this section, I've forgotten to tell you that men generally, males, are less likely to agree that this is what a gender equal New Zealand would look like. And again, we've got this situation going with younger males as well. They are also tending to be less likely to agree. And then, if we move on, would there be less pressure on women to be physically attractive? Well, yes, 54% agree that that would be the case in a gender equal New Zealand. And similarly, it wouldn't be important for women to have a certain body shape. But again, you can see that there's quite a few people still sitting on the fence, and in fact, some disagreeing as well. And just the last slide in this section. In a gender equal New Zealand, what would be the situation in terms of the rates of domestic and sexual violence? You can see reasonable levels of agreement here, 46% in relation to domestic violence. Personally, I find that to be a disappointing result, and as you can see, hasn't actually changed over the last 10 years or so. And similarly, we've got the same situation with sexual violence. Just 42% agree that that would be the case, less sexual violence in a gender equal New Zealand. Back to Mila.
So although we have made some progress, stereotypes about the genders continue to persist. For example, rape myths. Over 1/3 agree that rape happens when a man's sex drive is out of control, and this has been increasing over the years. Younger males were more likely to agree with this at 38% compared to 25% of younger female respondents. Around 1 in 6 also agree that if someone is drunk, they are at least partly responsible for what happens to them. And this has also become more common over time. Younger males stand out once again, with 23% agreeing compared to 10% of younger females. Although most said that a position of power or being sporty matters equally across all genders or not at all, there is still a pocket of society who thinks that these traits are more important for men. 17% of male respondents say being in a position of power is important for men, compared with 11% of female respondents. This difference is again driven by younger males, with 25% saying this, compared with 15% of younger females. We see the same with being sporty, with 16% of male respondents saying that this is more important for men, compared to 8% of female respondents. Again, younger males are standing out, with 26% of them saying being sporty is more important for men. On the other hand, 18% of male respondents say being able to cry in front of friends is more important for women, compared to 11% of female respondents who say this. This is again strongest among younger male respondents at 25%, compared to 15% of younger female respondents. We see a similar pattern with physical attractiveness, with 17% of male respondents saying that this is more important for women, compared to 9% of female respondents. Yet again, younger males are the ones that are driving this difference, with 19% of them saying that it is more important for women. Some disagree that it's okay for boys to play with dolls. 46% of male respondents agreed with this statement, and this compares to 66% of female respondents who agreed with this statement. This gap is seen across all age groups of male respondents, and males are actually at the other extreme, being more likely to disagree with this statement. A third, or 34% of younger male respondents say that they disagree that it is okay for boys to play with dolls, and this compares to 20% of younger female respondents. When it comes to certain jobs, people are still looking at them as being more suited to men and more suited to women. For example, 37% of male respondents say the armed forces are better suited for men, compared to 23% of female respondents. Younger male respondents are driving this difference, with 49% saying that this is more suited for men, compared to 31% of younger female respondents. We see an even bigger divide with becoming a builder. Nearly half of male respondents say that this is more suited to men, compared with 38% of younger female respondents. Not surprisingly, younger males are furthering this divide, with the majority at 56% saying that becoming a builder is more suited for men. While other jobs are still seen as women's work, 29% of male respondents say hairdressing is more suited to women, compared with 19% of female respondents. Similarly, nursing takes this even further. 37% of male respondents say nursing is more suited to women, compared to 23% of female respondents. Younger males are really pushing this, with 42% of them saying it's more suited for women to become nurses. We see the similar trends with engineering and farming, where male respondents are more likely to say that this is more suited to males, especially younger males. And with farming, this is especially high, with 47% of male respondents saying that this is more suited for men. When we look at household chores, cleaning and cooking are often seen as being more a woman's responsibility. Younger male respondents are the most likely to hold this view at 25%, compared with 13% of young females. And when it comes to cleaning the bathroom, what really stands out is that young males are less likely to see this as a shared responsibility for all genders in the home. On the other end, outdoor and heavy household tasks, such as taking out the rubbish and mowing the lawns, are more often considered a man's responsibility. 34% of males say that taking out the rubbish is a man's responsibility, compared to 17% of females that say this. So across all age groups, male respondents are more likely to put rubbish duty under a man's duty. Mowing the lawns, we see the same trend. 48% of male respondents saying that this is a man's responsibility, compared to 29% of female respondents. School subjects is no different. Younger males are still the ones that are driving this difference. Across every age group, actually, male respondents are more likely than female respondents to say that these subjects are more suited for women, for both foods and fashion and textiles technology. At the other end of the spectrum, we've got materials technology and physics being more suited for men. 36% of males say that materials technology is more suited to boys compared to 27%. And again, it is the younger males that are driving this divide. Among young respondents, 16% of males are saying that it is more suited for boys to study physics compared to 6% of females saying this. Again, younger males are pushing this. Just as we've seen in every other area in the findings of this section, younger males are pushing the divide between male and female respondents. Back to Emanuel.
Thank you. So we are actually at the end of our presentation because I understand our time has gone. It's not up, it's gone. So what are our take-home messages? Well, if you haven't sort of realised already, we think we've got a particular issue with men in general still, and particularly younger boys and men. And so, you know, the big question is obviously where to start. And just, this is really, Suzanne, one of our last slides. So just bear with me a moment. We did ask our respondents to what extent they agree that certain subjects be taught in schools. And if they were to be taught in schools, at what age group they would start teaching these. And you can see here the result for healthy relationships and consent. And, you know, I think for me, the good news is that most of our respondents agreed that this is a subject topic that should start pretty early on in the school, whatever you want to call it. Very few people see that it shouldn't be included as a subject topic. And so we're heartened to see this because, you know, obviously it's very difficult to teach an old dog new tricks. So I think with respect, we have to probably give up on people like me and focus our attention on our younger generation as they're coming through, particularly because we've got to address that obvious problem that we've got with young males. And this is the last slide, Suzanne, because this is a really important slide. Up on the National Council's website, and ours is the report. You can see it there on the right. And the other thing I just want to say is that the image on the left there is the e-tool that Anita put together, and that's also accessible through the National Council's website. Great asset. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you.
The paper has disappeared again. That's all right, I've got it on my phone. Kia ora, my name is Katie Thomas and I'm also one of the board members for the National Council of Women New Zealand. It is my pleasure to announce our final guest speaker for the evening. So Dylan Van Heerden, pronouns they, them, is a 23-year-old final year student at Te Herenga Waka, Victoria University of Wellington. They work as a youth kai manaki for Y Central at Te Tai Ohinga, Wellington's youth hub, and as Vic Uni branch leader of Thursdays in Black, an Aotearoa wide campaign to end violence and sexual violence in tertiary places. Come on. Thanks, Dylan.
Thank you very much. Tēnā koutou katoa, ke timatanga ahau ki te whakatauki nei. Māmua ki te mamuri kia ora amua. E mihi ana ahau ki ngā kaiwhakahaere mō te hui nei, te Kaunihera Wāhine o Aotearoa. Tuarua ki te puna mātauranga o Aotearoa mō tō manaki. Ki ngā kai kōrero o te wāngai, ngā mihi nui mō tō koutou mātauranga. Me tuawhā ki a koutou mā, ngā kaimahi, ngā kaimanaki mō te kaupapa nei, kua haere mai ki tēnei hui. Anei ko YO. Ko Awhirika ki te tonga te whakapaparanga mai, engari ko te ko hiritonga te whenua tupu no pakipaki o, ki te whanganuiatara au e noho ana, he youth kaimanaki o i Y Central. Ko Dylan Van Heerden tuku ingoa, tēnā tātou katoa. Thank you. My name is Dylan Van Heerden. I was born in South Africa and moved to New Zealand when I was 6 years old. I grew up in Hawke's Bay, and in 2021, I moved to Wellington to pursue a degree in chemistry. A lot has changed since then. So yes, I am now studying, I'm in my last 4 weeks of a BA in education and educational psychology. And I worked at Vic for a little bit. I worked as a teacher aide for a primary school for a little bit, and that was one of my favorite jobs. And I currently work as a youth kaimanaki for Te Tai Wahinga, which is Wellington City Youth Hub. And it's, yeah, so much fun. And yeah, my home is in Pakipaki. And yeah, I just want to start by thanking the National Council of Women of New Zealand for inviting me to speak tonight. And yeah, I appreciate you platforming Youth Voice. Yeah, I chose the whakatauki I led with. It translates to those who lead give sight to those who follow. Those who follow give life to those who lead. It speaks to the value and importance of both the leaders and the followers, which are both essential and codependent. It's amazing and a little surreal to be standing here with all of you amazing people who are all invested in making change in Aotearoa, specifically about gendered issues. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I'm about to finish my degree, and I also have the privilege of leading the Wellington branch of Thursdays in Black. It's a national-led campaign to end sexual violence in tertiary spaces, and I've been the branch lead for over a year now, and before then I was the communications and social media officer. Yeah, and I just want to say a quick content warning. I do mention sexual violence and gender issues that contribute to this issue. And please feel free to walk out and take a break if you need. I won't be offended, and you can come talk to me afterwards if you need some support or you just want to have a chat. Yeah, so the statistics are quite alarming. More than 1 in 4 university students in Aotearoa will experience some form of sexual violence during the studies. And that's not just a number, it represents lives disrupted, trust broken, and safety compromised. For some of you, this might be a shocking number to hear. For many others, it's something we've known and lived with for a long time. These statistics might tell us how many, but they don't tell us about the aftermath, the trauma, the isolation, the dropouts, the lack of support, and the long path to healing, especially for those with marginalized or intersectional identities. But let's be clear that sexual violence is not a random, unpredictable crime happening in dark alleyways by strangers in hoodies. It's far more likely to be someone known. It's a gendered problem, not because women and gender diverse people are the only ones impacted, but because the systems and behaviors that enable it are rooted in outdated, patriarchal, and colonial gender norms. It's a gendered issue because most perpetrators are male. There's a critical lack of support for perpetrators to receive help. And myths still persist, like the idea that what someone was wearing somehow constitutes them asking for it. And the phrase, boys will be boys, is still used to excuse harmful attitudes and behavior. These beliefs are deeply ingrained, and dismantling them takes work. And that's what we're doing at Thursdays in Black. We're a small team of university students who volunteer our time and energy because we believe change is possible. We host key events throughout the year, and one of the most powerful being our What I Was Wearing exhibition. It displays the clothing worn by people when they experience sexual violence. These are not just clothes, they are stories, often never told out loud, stories people may not have been believed for, and stories that they carry every single day. We also run more interactive and engaging events, focus on identity, consent, and empowerment, and we collaborate with lots of different people to make these changes. Part of the gender attitude survey results is what I'm going to be talking about now. There has been some shifts in attitudes since 2017, but they are not nearly enough, and a lot of it is stagnant. There has been no statistically significant change in attitudes towards rape since the baseline in 2017, with one exception. More people now agree with the myth that rape happens when a man's sex drive is out of control. That's a main one for us. 40% of male respondents agreed that false rape accusations are common, compared to 27% of female respondents. And the final thing is that 14% of respondents said that hitting out is an understandable response for a man when his wife or partner tries to end a relationship. That's 14% up from 8% in 2017. So yeah, let that sink in. We're not just fighting the harmful actions, we're still fighting the harmful beliefs that justify them. Gender inequality is not a distant issue. It's real, it's present and systemic in Aotearoa, in our homes, schools, workplaces, and communities. It's important to remember that these issues are deeply connected to colonialism, and that pre-colonial Aotearoa had a very different understanding of gender roles and relationships. When we talk about dismantling colonial structures, we are also talking about addressing the root of gender-based harm. Upholding te tiriti o Waitangi in gender equity work means recognizing how Māori, particularly Wāhine Māori and Takatapui, are disproportionately impacted by violence and marginalization. To change things, we need 5 things, in my opinion. More evidence-based interventions, stronger policy, early education, community involvement, and crucially, funding and resourcing. This work cannot be done by underpaid, undervalued volunteers alone. It requires collective responsibility. It requires not only the people in this room, but other leaders, other decision makers, funders, and governments to continue stepping up and working together on this shared kaupapa. One crucial aspect which we need to talk honestly about is the role of alcohol and social norms. Drinking culture in Aotearoa is an elephant in the room when we talk about violence and gender issues. And studies have shown that alcohol doesn't cause sexual violence, perpetrators do. Alcohol does often lower inhibitions, reinforces harmful behaviors, and removes safety. Men are more likely to become aggressive when intoxicated, and that's a reality that we can't ignore. A contemporary gender issue across the globe is called sextortion. The definition from the FBI is that it is a serious crime that occurs when someone threatens to distribute your private and sensitive material if you don't provide them with images of a sexual nature, sexual favors, or money. It's a very new issue, but it's common across the globe. And we need better protection against threats of this kind and better access to support before, during, and after online gender issues. Part of the issue is the small things that uphold these systems. All too often, I have heard girls in school say, and I'm sure many of you have as well, that sorry if this is a stupid question. And I thought, why is this apology so automatic? It's a gender issue too. These internalized patterns start young, and unless they're challenged, they grow into silence, compliance, and shame. So if you take away anything from what I've said and shared tonight, please let it be this: gender attitudes shape the real world. They influence whether someone speaks up or stays silent. They determine whether someone is believed or blamed, and they affect how institutions respond or don't respond when harm occurs. We are doing this work every day through education, prevention, and advocacy. We're holding the universities accountable, pushing for evidence-based, youth-informed interventions, and trying to create safe spaces for students who have been harmed. We're trying to change a system that was never designed for many of us to thrive in. So I leave you with a challenge, whether you're a policymaker, a parent, an employer, a student, or a friend. Ask yourself 3 things. What attitudes do I hold? What am I willing to change? And how can I be part of the solution? Because true gender equality in Aotearoa is not a dream, it's a right. But it's a right we have to actively fight for together. If someone you know needs some support or just needs to talk, Safe to Talk is a great option. It's available across Aotearoa, and you can free call them on 0800 044 334 or text 4334. Ngā mihi nui kia tātou. Thank you.
Wonderful insights from someone who has a lot of life in front of them and quite rightly is probably looking at these results and wondering what some of us older people have been doing for the last few decades. I'm Dellwyn Stuart. I lead the YWCA in Auckland and a proud member of NCW's board, and we're very, very happy to help bring this research into the light this year. Normally what you get from the sponsor is a word from our sponsor. So I'm going to give you a word, and that word is butter. Now, I don't know about you, but this year I have heard a lot about butter. The price of butter, where butter is made, where it isn't made, why it's so much cheaper at Costco, etc., etc. That's butter that goes on our bread. These statistics, it's devastating to hear them. It's devastating to see these attitudes, these beliefs growing in our young men. We are failing our young men if this is the direction they are heading in. So my word is butter, because I want the news of these results, the urgency that should be underlying these results, to be in our headlines, in our talkback, in everywhere, in the same way that our humble butter has been. Thank you.
It's up to me to have the last word, but I actually quite like butter. If talk about this was as common as talk about butter, where would we get to? So kia ora for that. Falls to me to do some thank yous and to close us off, because I do need to thank a lot of people. The Gender Attitudes Survey would not be a thing without the NCW board supporting it all the way. Thank you. Rangahau, Aotearoa, Research New Zealand, you are fabulous partners. Thank you very much for being with us on this journey for so long, and we look forward to carrying on. Thank you to the Ministry for Women for the funding that enables this to actually happen and carry on. And for the event today, thank you very much for all those people, for YWCA for providing us some money to feed you, which will happen out there. Thank you to our interns who were organising this event. Thank you to the Wellington branch who were taking your coats. Thank you to the venue staff, woohoo, for you up the back, who have been fabulous for us. Thank you to the comms team for all the things they've been doing today, for all the things that happened for today. Thank you, Kerry, for all you've done. And I'm really pleased that you've managed to stay sane, or maybe we find out that next week, but heartfelt thanks to you. So now I'm going to close with a karakia. Ka whakaarea te tapu, ka waitia ai te ara. Kia turuki whakataha ai, kia turuki whakataha ai. Humie, huie, taiki. So that says restrictions are moved aside, so the pathway is clear to return to everyday activities, enriched, unified, and blessed. Kia ora koutou. There is food there. It has been blessed already. So please come up, network, talk to everybody. Thank you to everybody on the Zoom. And it's been a pleasure having you here.